thing. Okay, so it's just continuing with the stanzas here. Number 6. Enchantment number 6 is call it the messenger training, or declaring a message with authority. God will train the prophet or the seer's voice to confront usually leaders, maybe other prophets, to speak judgment, announce restoration, announce restoration, release, direction, and announcing restoration can go with the dividing of the spoils after war, because at this stage you're already the next stage is warfare. So releasing direction. This could be like you're getting like things for the nation. Your prophetic visions, dreams, revelations will align with the news. What's going on in the news? The news will confirm the prophecy coming to pass if it's a national for the nation, right? You'll see it come to pass on the news, which stands for north, east, west, and south. And this is just carrying God's heart and not your emotions, your personal emotions, and how you feel. This is likened to Nathan, who confronted Nathan the seer, they called him, who confronted kings, but he did it with accuracy and grace. Number 7 is the watchman training, which is now when you're getting trained for spiritual warfare. Now after your eye, your ear, your voice has been trained, you're trained in the wilderness. You might still be in the wilderness at this point. You're able to sit in the silence, still hear God. You're able to know His voice. Takes a training, right? Then now you're getting trained to be the watchman. The watchman was someone who would sit in a high tower and would watch during war. A sniper, right? A kind of a sniper. This is spiritual warfare training. You get it's almost like an intelligence officer for the kings of heaven, right? Like God trains prophet, seer in spiritual warfare, watchmen, to see demonic strategies, to discern angelic activity. What? You done? Cool. To identify spiritual gates. A gate, some people call them doors. A gate, it could be a gate. What? A gate. Somebody don't like this at all. They scream bloody murder. We'll keep going. Some's like being tortured as a good. Spiritual warfare, to start all over. This watchman training. What is that? Not us? Keep playing with me. Heaven's intelligence officers, God trains them to see demonic strategies, right? Like what's going on now. God's not telling me to run over there. It's losing its life. Whatever is good. Go faster. Die faster. What are you waiting for? Die. To discern angelic activity, to identify spiritual gates. A spiritual gate could be a portal, a door, a window, a bridge, a hole in the wall, a tunnel underneath, anything that you can shift from one room or the outside to the inside. And you're past the doorway, past the porch, etc., right? There's back doors. People enter through the back doors illegally. We don't. We enter through open doors because all doors open for us. When God tells us to go, it's open. So think of like automatic open doors. If God has told you to go, we go through all open doors, automatic. This is also a time when God will train you to understand territorial warfare. Territorial warfare, meaning you will take territory, you will scout the land, spy it out, report back to God. He'll tell you to either take it or not, or when to do it. And this is like, it's not like, it's a likened to war where they take land, or territory. Territory could be a business territory. For example, AI is a territory that God has allowed us, whoever is allowed to take AI, right? If he's telling you, then take it. You will be, if God has told you that AI is your territory and he's handing it over to you, that means you will have the victory in taking that territory. Also, taking territory from the enemy, meaning you take their territory, you take them off their seat, off their high place, off their throne. It is now your territory. It means you're in charge of your territory. You could get your territory taken again if you're not on top of your territory, right? Whatever that territory is, it could be a specific territory that tells you to pray for, whatever to overtake. It could be, like I said, something like AI in the marketplace, territory in the marketplace, whatever it is, he will take over everything, right? Whatever he has told you to take from whoever is in charge of that territory now. That's also recognizing who's in charge of the territory when you step on territory, right? There's lines. When you pass a certain line and you've now entered into a different territory, you should be able to know when you do that what's going on, and who's in charge, be able to tell what horns are running that territory. Also, there's more, but interceding with precision, right? A sniper, sharpshooter, precise. So to intercede with precision means to intercede on behalf of someone else and hit your target with precision, though. And to protect regions, families, and leaders. Right? Because God has his own regions, families, and he has his leaders as well, who all leaders always need to be prayed for and protected by who they lead, and teaching your kids to do the same. This is likened to Elijah, when the other Elijah was kind of like tripping out and scared that they were going to war, and he asked God to open his eyes so that he could see God's army, because he couldn't see it. And when he did, he told him, those who are with us are more than those with them. He realized how deep the army of God was compared to the enemy because he was scared. Number 8 is, I would say this is like the stage where I guess your office can get activated or public, right? Because anytime you get put in a pit, or a pit could be anything, thrown in a lion's den or put in the fire, right? Anytime you get put, like Joseph, right? Put in a pit, sold slavery by his brothers, but then he ended up in the king's palace. Jeremiah was in a pit, he was also redeemed. I can't think of it. And Daniel were thrown in the lion's den, and then they ended up being advised, in the second to the king, right? They ended up they went from being in a pit, which would mean anything, dark, without water, just thrown for dead, left for dead. But anytime that happens, what precedes that will be a public redemption, meaning God will redeem you, just like it was a public like sacrifice, almost left for dead. It will also be a public thing. So anytime you get thrown in a pit, God will, what's coming and preceding that will be a public kind of redemption thing, meaning God will publicly confirm your calling by being recognized for your accuracy, consistent accuracy. And if they're a prophet, the word will come to pass. If it doesn't come to pass, they're not a prophet, but not everything comes to pass right away. And not everybody knows the timeline. So people could try to call you a false prophet because it hasn't come to pass yet. It doesn't matter. Sometimes it could take months, a year. It doesn't matter. That's why you write your stuff down or record it. And then it'll get confirmed depending on what it is. Which means after recognition, constant accuracy, confirmation of your calling publicly, you'll have influence, usually over like leaders of things, or maybe a national or regional assignment, right? Like you'll get bigger and bigger assignments. It goes from like a personal thing and it keeps going. Things keep leveling up with God. He doesn't just leave you at one, like you whatever timeline that is, you keep leveling up and growing. And God will redeem you from the pits. Your revelations will shift atmospheres and your words will continue to carry weight. None of the words will fall to the floor. If someone is not, it's just prophesying out of their own mind, their own heart, imagination, it won't happen. Their words will have no weight and they'll fall to the floor. They won't go anywhere. Fall to the floor dead. So a lot of people pretend, but their words carry no weight. And some are in that stage are still in a pit or getting trained or never made it to that stage. Number 9 is when like a scribing stage, or you're writing a revelation or writing a book or recording your visions, your prophecies, the judgments, the instructions or patterns. You make a book, usually there's books or videos or that's for that one. And then number 10 is the fathering or mothering. This is where now you're gonna have prophetic sons and daughters. Usually they build prophetic seers build schools for prophets or training programs or universities for prophets where they establish prophetic order and they purify the prophetic office. This also involves books and generations, which is sons, daughters, and then multiplication. Like I said, usually there's a school, a university, a training that they start and an order that they put, and then you have prophetic sons and daughters. Basically mentoring, which is also an apostle. The sign of an apostle is the multiplying, that you've multiplied. That's the sign of an apostle. You make more disciples. Apostles make more disciples. And that's number 10. That's the last one. The fathering and mothering stage.